Hold your horses. Don't call the cops. It is me. I'm not missing. I've just had some stuff to go through. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the chaos. My name is Vlad, the-tek, and yes, it's been 3 freaking years since I made a video. Well, I don't think it's been 3 years, but it's been 3 years since I've been living in Independence. Sort of. I'm no longer in Kansas City, Missouri at all. Funny thing happened about that. Yeah, that was a whole train wreck. And I guess I'm going to have to start telling you guys the story about what happened while I was away, why I had to stop doing YouTube, and why I'm back in YouTube. Hang on to your butts. So me and my girlfriend at the time, who is no longer my girlfriend, more on that later, went up to Kansas City in hopes to get better jobs, better living conditions, all this stuff that young 20-year-olds want. And we had a few issues with doing that. First issue being, I didn't have a job up there. I had a job when I was in Columbia, Missouri. The problem with that was that, unfortunately, I couldn't transfer from that facility to the one up in Independence because they didn't want to. That's about the entire freaking answer I got. They didn't want to transfer me, so if I moved up there, I wouldn't have a job. For some dumb reason, I moved up there. And on top of that, we wanted to have our own place, so we didn't have to share it with my cousin. And more on that later. I've already put up a couple of great videos about that guy, and you're about to get more information on him right now about the horrible crap that I went through because of him, and am still dealing with. Be prepared for a train wreck. Yeah, so in order to get up there, we needed money, but unfortunately I didn't have a whole lot saved up. So my first bright idea was just to take out a personal loan to cover living expenses, which worked, actually. I had a plan to actually get everything paid in full within 2 years, and I would have still been able to afford everything else. I just would have to skimp on a couple other things. As far as not having a savings account and things like that goes, I just wouldn't have those because I thought it was going to be, worth my time. And I thought I was going to be able to get another job around the same pay range as mine, like right away. Boy, was I wrong. So you guys probably remember me making a video about how I got moved in and I was going to job fairs and I was about ready to start making videos. Yeah, I went to so many job fairs while I was up there and I applied for so many jobs. I didn't get anything. The best thing I could get was a delivery driver position for Pizza Hut. That's actually how I was able to buy For Honor back when I was playing up there. And honestly, I wish I could have played that game like I wanted to, but unfortunately, life happens. And on top of that, my girlfriend at the time had a job. She was actually able to get a job up there, and she actually had the job before we moved. And she promptly quit. The reason given to me was because the people there were horrible. Now, I should have taken that as a red flag immediately because that's what she said about literally every other employer she's been with. Oh, these people are horrible. They treat me like crap, yada, yada, yada. And I should have seen this coming, but for some reason, I didn't because 20-year-old in love. We're stupid. Job hunting ended up not going well, so I ended up getting a job at Pizza Hut. And, yeah. By that point, the damage had already been done. The first bit of bad news financially came in the form of my cousin spending our money for us. The deal was that we would pay a third of rent each. Splitting it up, each person paying a third of everything, meant that out of me and my girlfriend's pocket was literally what everything was being bought on. My cousin literally didn't buy anything for himself. He just had us do it for him. How nice. It seems fair on the surface until you split it up like that. Like, we've only got our income. It should have been done by income at that point. That way everything's split down the middle, 50-50. A little bit fairer. But that's not what happened at all. Because reasons. So, our first bill, after staying there for 2 weeks, for rent, and for food for the house, was over $800. Figure out that math in your head. We haven't even factored in utilities yet. We owe $800. Guess what? We don't have it. So that's already causing a schism, and that was before I got my Pizza Hut job, by the way, so I didn't have any way to pay it off. And this type of crap will be a continuing theme where I'm somehow having to pay for more than I should. So just keep an eye on that. This obviously leads to a lot of tension in the house, particularly between me and my girlfriend, because she feels like I'm not helping, which I guess was kind of true, even though I was trying to figure out, where I was supposed to work. It wasn't necessarily my fault that I didn't have work. I was still trying to apply out there. It's just no one was giving me a call back. On top of all that, I've got debt payments coming due. I've got a credit card. I've got a personal loan. I've got a car to pay for. A really nice 2015 Dodge Dart Aero Edition that I'm trying to pay for. That is our only mode of transportation. So I get a job at Pizza Hut, and I'm actually able to use my car to actually help bring in some income, and we're actually starting to pay off some of that money we owe my cousin. We're not paying off my car yet, by the way, which at this point is 2 or 3 months behind. I'm screwed. And on the bright side, we are actually able to pay off my personal loan. Well, not pay off. We're starting to pay on my personal loan, and yeah, it seems like we're slowly heading towards a resolution. I'm starting to put money towards getting the car and the credit card all caught up. We're able to pay our bills. We're not able to do much else, but quite frankly, we're behind. I'm not going to care that much. I'm just going to be happy that we have a roof over our heads and I still have a car to drive. Then bad things happen. My cousin is at work and he falls off a ladder, busting his shoulder up. Yeah, he can no longer work. He ends up needing multiple surgeries on his shoulder, and it looks pretty damn bad, but for the most part, he's able to go to work, do something, and still get paid for it. But that also means that for about a year, well, for about half a year, actually, all the bills fell on us because he wasn't getting anything. We were basically waiting for his workman's comp case to actually pay out so that he can actually start getting checks to help pay for bills. But in the meantime, that was all on us. So I ended up having to get a new job. My girlfriend at the time ended up having to get a new job. She ended up getting another daycare job. And I ended up cutting all my hair off and getting a job as a lifeguard. That was fun. It was at this hotel and resort for families or something like that. And yeah, I'm not really going to mention them on camera because I have some really bad things to say about them here, but it's also where my cousin worked, and yeah, on the bright side, they gave me the salary to get out of the hole I was in, but just wait. While I'm working as a lifeguard, though, I actually get my car payments caught up. Yeah, I had my car payments all caught up. I was on time once again. I was about to get my credit card caught up and my personal loans payments caught up. And then my girlfriend happened. She was working at this really, really nice daycare center. She was actually making more money than me. She was making about $14 an hour, somewhere in there. And she decides to quit. Guess why? Because people aren't treating me right. Everyone there hates me. I don't know how to be humans. Basically, I don't even know. This was actually a continuing theme about how I think really all she wanted was for people to take care of her and not have to take care of herself and be an adult. And I'm here trying to get her to be an adult. You can see why I am saying my girlfriend at the time, because she's definitely not with me any freaking more. But no, she leaves that job, which was a nice, cushy, well-paying job that she only had to work 4 days a week at, and still got her 40 hours. Plus overtime. It was a nice job with nice benefits. She threw it all away because I don't know. So she actually gets a job as a housekeeper where me and my cousin are working. She was there 3 days before wanting to transfer over to be a lifeguard and work with me. And then this happened. Literally her 6th day at working at this place, and she hurts herself. She jumps into a pool, she doesn't land right, and she pulls a muscle in her back. Well, the next day, she doesn't want to go to work. Unfortunately, she's a new recruit. She has to go to work, or she'll get fired. She was still in training. She had to be there. So I make that known to her, and it seems like she's going to agree with me, but then she doesn't. I tried to explain to her that she's a new recruit and she has to go to work. She wasn't having it, so I said, you know what? It's fine. I'll talk to our boss for you, and I'm going to make sure that you can have the day off to rest up and get yourself back in working order. And it seems like I'm leaving her in a relatively happy mood. Halfway through my shift, I get a text from her that she has packed up all of everything that she can carry on her and is getting a bus out of town, and then she promptly blocks me. She literally just skipped town out of nowhere. You know, I've heard of people being in relationships and not seeing eye to eye with each other, but for the most part, when I've seen people break up, they talk to each other for a bit and they just say, you know, this isn't working out, we need to go our separate ways, yada yada yada. I've never heard of anyone, for no freaking reason, skipping town. Then again, a lot of that might have had to do with my cousin, who has actually threatened to kill my girlfriends before. Every single one of them. So that might have something to do with it. But alas, I don't know. She just texted me saying she doesn't want to talk to me, and that she took a bunch of stuff and she abandoned her cat, by the way. Yeah, remember a while back how I recorded a video and I opened with me having this cute little black little kitten on my shoulder, showing her to the camera? Her name's Midna. She's on the floor next to me. This thing. Say hi, Midna. You probably can't hear her, but she's purring right now. I'm going to set you back on the floor, sweet pea. The whole reason why we got Midna was to have a therapy animal for her. I paid for that animal, and basically, she ended up abandoning her and leaving her with me. Out of nowhere. Instead of working stuff out, figuring out where she can go. So I now have half the income to pay for everything with, which I had never planned to do. Silly me. Immediately when I see that message, I'm panicking. I went to my boss. I talked to him. I got the rest of the day off. I was just told to keep him updated with what was going on. I get home, and lo and behold, she took her phone, her backpack, a couple of her clothes, and she stole my charger to my phone and my frickin' tablet. Great person I got involved with there. This is a recurring theme with my life, is I get involved with really bad people all the time. Normally when stuff like this tends to happen to me, though, I get really angry. I get really upset. I am depressed for weeks. But in this circumstance, I instead decided, you know what? I'm not going to dwell on this. I'm not going to let another person just keep me down like I normally would. So I'm just going to pretend like she doesn't exist. So I immediately get all the stuff that she left. I throw it away. Anything of value, I sold it off because she literally said, you can keep whatever I left there. I still have the text explaining just that, by the way. So the next day I'm feeling better. I go through work. Whole day goes by. People are saying sorry, you know, this, that, and the other, trying to make me feel better. Thank you to those of you watching this who know who I am. And later that night, I get a text from her saying that she's in Colorado and she is homeless. This is one of those karma moments there, because this is a person who has done me wrong, has been doing me wrong, tried to get me to basically take care of her when I don't want somebody to take care of, who has pushed all the bills and stuff on my lap and refused to pay anything out of her own pocket, unless she absolutely had to, is now calling me up to try to help her. Guess how this ends? I basically gave her the number of a local homeless shelter and hung up. Last thing I heard from her, her brother drove out to Colorado, picked her up, and she's now living somewhere. I don't know. And if you think that's where everything ends, oh no, it gets better. One important thing to note is that on top of having to sacrifice my money, my time, my brain, just to try to keep up with this woman's problems, I also had to get rid of my dog because she hated it. Basically, the thought running through my mind when I gave her up was, obviously, I can't give her the home she needs because of the people I'm associated with right now. So I'm going to find somebody else who can. And as far as I'm aware, she's in a happy, healthy, nurturing home, and she's doing a lot better now. So anyways, I began the following year, which was 2018, thinking to myself, I need to get everything back on track. Guess what didn't end up happening? This brings us to the worst year of my life. The start of 2018. I began the year thinking to myself, I'm going to do what I can to get back where I want to be. I'm going to try to get all my bills cut up. I'm going to try to figure out what I can and can't afford. And that basically didn't happen because other people. I was left with my cousin. Yeah, you remember when I was making that video about that roommate that was threatened to beat the crap out of my roommates at that time? That's the person I'm living with. So as you can imagine, with only having half of my normal income, I can't really keep up with car payments or credit card payments anymore. So every single one of those things defaulted. The personal loan got charged off to my bank account. The credit card got charged off and went to court. And my car at the time got repossessed. I now drive a 1997 Ford Explorer that costs more in insurance than it actually does on paper. So early 2018, my only mode of transportation gets repossessed. And I would have just declared bankruptcy to get myself back on schedule, but yeah, it seems like every time around that year, my freaking roommate had something we need to pay for that he can't pay for somehow, and I've got to pay for it. Not to mention, I had started seeing a new girl who he literally threatened to kill. She knows he said this because she was on the fucking phone when he did it. So right away, I have a roommate who is guilty of attempted murder or conspiracy to commit murder. I don't know. So I'm struggling with life, and my mental state at this time gets really, really bad. Like, I have no outlets. I can't spend money on myself anymore because I got somebody over my shoulder telling me how I should spend my money all the time. I've got a guy who's literally telling me that my girlfriend's not allowed to come over and talk to me about shit because he wants all my attention, and I have to take care of him when he's high on marijuana and high off of freaking prescription painkillers. He was taking Dilaudid and smoking pot all the time. And I had to take care of him because reasons. And then he complained when he couldn't get pot anymore or Dilaudid. His doctor literally ended his script for Dilaudid, and he just couldn't afford to buy more pot. Things are so bad. My mind is so screwed up that I have panic attacks that are bad enough to send me to the hospital. Twice. So now, on top of this massive amount of debt that I have to eventually pay back, I've got $4,000 to $5,000 in medical bills. So at this point, I'm thinking to myself, I don't have a future. I'm done. It seemed like things couldn't possibly get any worse for me after having 2 panic attacks. I was wrong. It may come as no surprise to any of you guys, but I have really terrible teeth. Partially because I just have thin enamels. Don't know where I get that from. And partially because I hardly ever took care of them. I'm taking better care of them now. But you may notice there's one missing. Actually, there's 7. And that actually started with this guy, who is not missing, but caused me to lose my job. I'm eating lunch one day, and the cap of it breaks off, exposing the roots underneath. It gets infected. I am in so much pain that I couldn't sleep at night. I took a day off of work to go get it checked out by a dentist. They prescribed me with narcotics and an antibiotic. As soon as I was done taking that antibiotic, I was supposed to go back and get my root canal done. My employer uses that excuse to fire me. Yep, I'm in so much pain that I can't handle my job, which is a job watching children, making sure they don't freaking drown, and apparently they don't care if I can actually focus on making sure children can't drown. Who knew? I was seriously in so much pain that if I didn't have ice water pressing against that freaking tooth, it just hurt. It hurt and hurt and hurt. It was nerve damage, and that doesn't just go away with ibuprofen. So, I am unemployed. I get fired for the first time in my life. On the bright side, literally the next day, I had a new job lined up for a photography company that does school photos, which was actually fun. I actually really wish that was a full-time job and not just a seasonal job, but it was at least enough to get me by. So things are starting to kind of look up. I get to travel to all these different schools. I get to hang out with other like-minded people who actually like working with cameras and stuff like that. And people who actually just play with Photoshop in their free time. Like I used to do for YouTube. And I'm showing them my YouTube channel. They think it's great. They like my Photoshop work. Kind of. My Photoshop work is shit. But remember, that's just seasonal. So in the meantime, I'm trying to look for something that I can have full-time to actually provide for myself. And literally about a week after I get that job, my cousin gets fired. Because he decided to call in sick for a cold. Yeah, by the way, there might be a lot going into that decision, and he might have been part of the reason why I got fired in the first place, because in that time period, from the beginning of that year to the end of that year, he was trying to sue them. He was trying to sue our employer. Because bear in mind, I'm working for the same company he is, in the same facility, in the same area of the facility. I'm a lifeguard, he's an aquatics maintenance, whatever. So he maintains the pools, I make sure no one drowns in them. And he's trying to sue them for something. I don't remember. He didn't end up getting a whole lot out of that, although he got more than I'd expected. But ultimately he ends up losing his job. So I have a job. He's just got his settlement money. And like any sane, intelligent person would do, they would take part of that, set it aside to make sure that their bills get paid for the next few months, and probably invest the rest of it into like a low-yield savings account or mutual funds or index funds, you know, something with a high return on investment, or invest in real estate. Just kidding, he blew all of it. He tried to set up a jewelry business. It failed spectacularly. Oh yeah, and he tried to drag me down with him. On the weekdays, I was heading out to all these different schools, taking pictures of children, which sounds wrong, but it was for a yearbook, I swear to God. In the afternoons, I was back uploading all those pictures, talking with other staff members, trying to figure out what our schedules would be, who was going to what school, who was doing retakes for that school, surveys, yada, yada, yada. Trying to get some more overtime so I could pay my bills. And then on the weekends, I was supposed to work with him or get kicked out of the house. He ended up hemorrhaging so fast that within a month, he was broke. I don't remember the exact figure of what he got. He got around $20,000 to $40,000 for his settlement. And he blew it all in a month. So literally within a month of that happening, he decides he's moving out, leaving me there to handle all of it, which sounds terrible because I have all these debts falling on my head. I have no future. I've got a seasonal job, which isn't going to last. But believe it or not, that was the thing that got me back on my feet, was me getting the fuck rid of him. So what ends up happening is he leaves, and I move my girlfriend in. My girlfriend never got a job, but she tried. She honestly tried. I can't blame her too much. And we were actually doing pretty well. I was actually able to pay off my house bills. I wasn't actually able to pay off anything else other than that, so I was still trying to seek bankruptcy and stuff like that, but on the bright side, it seems like things were finally looking up towards me. My cousin leaves around early November or somewhere in that, so I almost get evicted because I don't have a job, because he literally leaves the last day of work at my seasonal job. So I almost lose the house I'm living in. I'm almost homeless. Luckily, I got a job. A very terrible one, but I got a job. It was for a certain mail package carrying facility whose favorite colors are brown and gold. I'm not going to say the name of it, but never worked there. First off, when I got interviewed for that spot, they lied to me about when I'd be working. They had 2 spots you could apply for. I think it was 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. or something like that for part-timers. Or if you wanted full-time work, you could work 10 p.m. till the work's done. So 10 p.m. till whenever. You could work 8 hours a day. You could work 12. You don't know. Turns out that was a big load of bullshit. I ended up going in at 4 in the morning and staying there till like 5, 6 at night. And while I'm there, I witnessed such lovely things like a manager getting into a fist fight with another employee. I didn't like having my mail carried through this company anyways, But this took it to a whole new level. Also, full disclaimer, I don't know if that was just the branch I was at or if this is the company as a whole. But that's pretty screwed up. So immediately I start putting out applications anywhere I can. I'm putting out applications on Indeed, LinkedIn, anywhere that'll accept me to put in an application. I didn't care what it was for. I didn't care if it was legal or not legal. I did not want to be in that freaking situation. Definitely not for $9.50 an hour. So I immediately started working for another company where I worked 6 days a week. Luckily, the 6 days a week thing, 10 days a week, was temporary. It then moved to 7 days a week. Believe it or not, this company that I'm talking about was actually a really great company to work for. It's just that in the winter, they have a massive influx of stuff because they're a medical supply company and they deal with HSAs. And if you don't use all your money in those HSA accounts that they hold, you just don't get to spend that money. So at the end of the year, everyone orders a ton of stuff through this company and they have to ship it. And that's where we came in. It was hectic because this company just opened this warehouse, so they didn't really know how to handle everything. But honestly, I'm not going to complain too much. Even though I was exhausted the entire 2 months that happened, I came out the other side being able to pay all my bills and get myself caught up. And within a couple of months, I was a full-time employee there. I was working from 9 in the morning to roughly 5, a regular 9 to 5 most of the time. It all just depended on when we got our work done, which for the most part was 5 o'clock. Actually, before I left, we were going home at like 4 o'clock sometimes. We just got that much work done that quickly. We started to get that good. I was about to start getting supervisor positions. And then life happened again. So, I'm working at this place in the summer, and I started to notice that my arms and legs feel really, really weak as I'm working. And I have practically no energy when I go home. Now, I just chopped it up to just working in a unair-conditioned facility for long periods of time. But it would also happen when I wasn't at work. I go get checked out by my doctor. And it turns out I might have the same thing my mom has. Now, I've never disclosed this on camera, but my mom suffers from a condition called myasthenia gravis. This is a fairly rare autoimmune disease that attacks the nerve endings to voluntary muscles. So muscles in your arms, legs, and the muscles that control swallowing, eyesight, and breathing. Now, I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but it does seem plausible. I had suspected there was something wrong with my health since I worked at Walmart when I first started YouTube. I always felt weak after short periods of time working, but I just chopped it up to things like I'm just not in good shape. However, I did this nice little test where I look straight at somebody, and then they have you look straight up at the ceiling like this, and turns out my eyeballs droop. That's called ocular myasthenia gravis, where basically your eye muscles are so weak that they actually cause your eyes to sag. And we got final confirmation that this is probably like 90% likely to happen because the neurologist that I saw actually gave me a drug called Mestinon. Now, Mestinon is specifically made to help people with myasthenia gravis. It is literally the only thing they give you this drug for is myasthenia gravis. And it worked. I got better. Well, my symptoms got better. Now, don't take that as I have something that's treating my illness. It's just meant to treat the symptoms. So the illness itself can get worse. So I'm in the middle of getting this confirmed, and all of a sudden, I'm at work. I reach down to pick something up. I can't get up anymore. I actually had to be wheeled from where I was all the way up to the front desk. And they sent me home and told me I couldn't return back without doctor's orders. And my doctor never let me return back to work. So I end up finally losing my house down there. Which was nice. The bright side of everything is I have a place to sleep thanks to my family. You know who you are. Thank you very much. But it just kind of sucks because I'm still unemployed. And I'm just sitting on the couch for the most part thinking with myself, what exactly am I going to do? And then I got to check for short-term disability. And it was a pretty decent sum, so yeah. The problem is I've got more issues than just the myasthenia gravis to worry about. I am also high-functioning autistic, which probably explains a lot of my videos, but yeah. So I'm sitting around, and for the most part, I'm thinking, what exactly am I going to do with my life? I can't go work in a factory like I was working, because that's how I got into this situation. Can't work in fast food because that heat and exhaustion would just put me right back in this situation. I have no college degree. The only thing I have is my computer. That's it. And then I thought to myself, that's it. Why not just try stepping back and going back to YouTube? So that's what I'm going to do. And don't look at it as like the only option I have. I have other options. Right now I'm working with a program called vocational rehabilitation, which helps people with disabilities get back into the workforce. So maybe they can find me something. But hey, in case that doesn't work, I got this. I at least have you guys to talk to about all the cool stuff that's happening. Plus, I have a new girlfriend, which you may meet later on. Although, it probably should be said that there's going to be some changes to this YouTube channel. For instance, I'm going to be uploading to it. Also, I'm probably not going to upload a gaming video every day. That's probably going to be Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I just can't keep up with the volume. 2, I'm not just going to mindlessly upload games for views. I'm actually going to tinker with them. Because, really, I don't want the focus of this channel to just be on what I'm playing. But more or less how I'm playing it, and how freaking weird I get. For instance, having a house full of psychopaths go skinny dipping in a public pool. In The Sims. That was fun. Also, I want to kind of do more content with other things. For instance, being back here with family actually got me back into something that I was starting to get into before I left. And it's going to sound super nerdy. Dungeons and Dragons. I'm actually talking with my girlfriend right now on doing a one-on-one campaign, just me and her, for a couple of characters we actually created for a one-off campaign my brother was doing. And it's about this 6-foot-tall ogre whose friend is actually a 3.5-foot-tall halfling. So I'm planning on doing a story with that. And I was hoping to like do some modules and stuff like that live. I'm not sure how that's going to turn out. But for the most part, I just want to get back into YouTube and I want to start doing the things that resonate with me at the very least. Doing more things with gaming, talking about gaming computers, stuff I've learned on the IT side like programming. If you guys would be into that. Probably not going to happen, but you know, it's an option. Of course, there's also MTG Arena. I've been getting back into Magic the Gathering. But for the most part, I'm huge into Magic, D&D, and gaming in general. I also want to do stuff where I'm talking about autism because I suffer from suffer's the wrong word. I've been diagnosed with a high-functioning form of autism called Asperger's syndrome, and I also want to talk about myasthenia gravis because I got that as well and how that affects my life. So if you guys have any questions about those two things, go ahead and comment down below. Also, let me know what you guys want to see on here because honestly, for the most part, the reason why I liked YouTube was because of you guys. You guys have no idea how bad of a day I could have. Then all of a sudden be taken right out of it due to your guys' comments on all my videos. It was amazing. It was the greatest trip of my life. I can't wait to start doing that all over again. So yeah, comment down below. Let me know what you guys, if you guys have any questions for me about myasthenia gravis or autism. And also let me know kind of what you want to see. Let me know what games that are coming up that you might want to see me screw up in. Because I'm really good at that. And I'm probably going to have a review of something I was able to get for myself here in a week or two. I'm not quite sure because it's shipping from the UK. But I'll let you know on that. But for now, thank you guys so much for watching. And if you enjoyed it, feel free to show me some love down below by hitting that like button. Also, feel free to check out my other videos. And I will see you in the next video.